Just as a matter of clarification, in working with Assistant Corporation Counsel last week, Dave Greco, we had some dialogue about the potential of a public meeting or a Zoom meeting, and the question was brought up, would you like to see any, I'm reluctant to use the term experts, but any experts in this field come to that meeting? Dave said he knows a few people that he would be comfortable bringing here to speak about. They're not advocating for or against. They're just they're able to talk about their experiences with the industry and maybe some things to guard against and be mindful of. I did not want to answer, and you don't have to answer tonight, but if you do, or if this body would like to see that as part of the meeting, please just let us know in time that we can coordinate that.
Through the chair, I mean, I spoke to someone actually a few days ago that's I don't want to say an expert in the field, but he had a lot of good points. So yes, I think that would be valuable, at least from my perspective.
Well, I know that I don't think you were on the, well, I know you weren't at the time when we had the other public meeting. I think the former mayor of Lansing came Verge Bonero, and he was helpful, but I mean, he was clearly here advocating on behalf of the opportunity of the ordinance.
He worked for the industry.
Yeah. I don't know that that's what we're looking for, but Dave said he had a couple people that he had in mind that he thought would be helpful. So you can either reach out to me or reach out to him, but you know, just so we have enough notice that we can coordinate it.
Well, even, you know, if we have a study session, we can invite them here to that too.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Whichever
yep.
you guys want, whichever you prefer.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, and I know prior to me, I think it was, you all went on a visit to some of the buildings.
A few of them did. I went to...
And I know with COVID, I don't know if that's still possible, but I would like to do that, because I have no idea.
Chief Blair, I think, I can't remember, I know me, Laura Fell, and Chief Slabasi went out to Ypsilanti, and we toured a grow facility, a dispensary, and I'm trying to think what else, but it was definitely a learning experience.
I mean, I have no idea about the business itself. I wouldn't mind going to. And
yeah, Chief might be able to help with that, or Laura, I think, might be able to help with that as well.
I think actually, Mr. Chairman, Dave Greco organized the one in Ypsilanti.
Oh, okay.
I think he knew the state police commander out of the Ypsilanti area, and they coordinated it.
Yeah, the sheriff of Ypsi took us on.
Yeah, I did not go on that tour. There are a couple of other options, he said. That was a pretty small operation. I think he has since established a couple of contacts in some bigger operations. I think it would be helpful to see both. You know, I think that small one is still available, and there's I thought he said in Howell, there's I might have the city wrong, but there's a much larger operation that he said it's eye-opening. He said, you know, when you talk about 72 plants, I mean, that's literally 10,000 square feet of industrial floor space. So,
well, speaking of contacts, you're definitely going to get a headache from that.
Well, through the chair, you can go over on Hay Street, just off of Beach Daily, find the garage with no snow on the roof. Because I was at that house, and they have probably 100 plants in their garage. So,
yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of them in our city.
oh, according to them, it's legal.
But I would, because I have no idea about this, and if I'm going to make a good judgment and a good decision on this, I would like to see how it actually is run.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman? I'd also like to restate, I think at our last meeting you had asked if anybody had, you know, provide you feedback with things that we wanted to see before taking a vote, and I had mentioned hearing from the planning committee. I talked about hearing any revenue projections that the committee had researched and studied. Whether I read Charlie's Facebook post or the survey, we have a lot of people that think one of the primary reasons we should do this is to take advantage of the financial windfall, and I got to believe that the committee looked at potential revenue, and I'd like to hear from the committee on what that is. And the other thing that I asked for was the scoring system and the ranking system. We're eventually going to come up with a certain number of licenses. It was 9, it's 16, it could be 32. But I think we all agree we're going to get more applications than we have available licenses. And before I'm comfortable agreeing to an ordinance, I want to know how we're going to go through and approve these people. What's the ranking system? What's the scoring system? What's going to make your application look better than my application? Clerk Bauer gave us some I don't know if these are final documents or not, but there's some of the applications that people will be asked to fill out, but my reference to some of my requests were the lawsuits that the city of Warren is going through and the problems that they got themselves into. And if we go all the way back to 2018, when I voted no, the idea was to kind of take a wait-and-see approach, see what works in some cities, see what doesn't, take advantage of the things that other municipalities did well, and avoid the pitfalls. And I'm trying to learn a lesson from Warren, and I think this body, if we're going to make a good decision, should understand the whole process, not just approve the ordinance and figure it out later. So, not speaking for anyone else, just wanted to restate my request because you did ask what sort of information we were interested in seeing before we had a vote, and I know that information hasn't been provided as of yet.
Mr. Chairman, so we met last week, and Dave Greco is going to be circulating an amended draft proposal for this body to consider, and the proposed point system will be included. It is not being proposed as part of the ordinance, but it will be available for you all to see. But it will closely mimic, similar to what Westland has done. I mean, if you want to take a look at that, would be like the closest scoring system that I think that... Westland, yeah. And it's on their website. You can take a look at it. It's a competitive model. I think it's very different. I'm not familiar with the specifics in Warren of what they did or didn't do correctly. But I can tell you that, I mean, exactly what you indicated. There's anybody that is not selected is going to feel wronged somehow, some way. I mean, it's just natural. You know, everybody that's ever stepped foot in City Hall that's in this business, they've all been the best in the business and the most experienced, and this is why, you know, they should be the one. And you know, I don't know anything about the industry itself. I can tell you that from the internal working group's perspective, and I've said this since 2018, I'm not here advocating that it's going to generate revenue or generate jobs. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's realistic. I think the bigger issue is trying to get control of it and get it out of the neighborhoods, and how do we do that successfully? So you don't have the houses in the neighborhood with, you know, 100 plants in it, or we recently had an issue at an apartment complex where they were growing in a basement. Those situations are real. I don't know how we fix that entirely, but some of the thought process that went into potentially opting in surrounds giving them an opportunity to purchase it somewhere locally so they don't have to do all that in their own house or their own residence. But all the stuff that you're looking for we'll provide, certainly before the next meeting, and you know, we'll go from there. But I think if you look at Westlands, if you're interested in seeing it sooner, then I think that'll give you a good idea of what the City of Taylor system will look like.
Through the chair, I don't think, to Dan, I don't think we talked about revenue one time in any of the meetings. I think it's more about getting it out of the neighborhoods, regulating it, because from my understanding, all this marijuana will be tested to make sure it's all safe. What you're buying over on A Street, we don't know if it's laced with something or what kind of chemicals it was.